Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Rick Fussell and this is the Ingrain Workshop. In today's video, we're going to be doing a shop DIY project. We're going to be modifying my existing dust collection system and getting rid of the two-stage cyclone separator. We're also going to be getting rid of the bag and the bag filter, and we're going to be extracting all the dust to the exterior, making for a healthier workshop. That's coming up next here at the Ingrain Workshop. So I wanted to bring you in closer and give you a brief overview of my dust collection system. The way I've designed it is I've got 4 individual vacuum runs, and on each vacuum run I have 3 pieces of woodworking equipment, and then there are blast gates at each piece of equipment, and there are these 4 blast gates for each individual vacuum run. That way the system is designed more efficient to reduce the static pressure. I'm able to close off the 3 other vacuum runs with only the run that I'm using open at each time, therefore increasing the efficiency of the dust collection system as a whole. And then I have my 2, I call them cyclone dust collectors, but they're just trash cans with cyclone hoods on. And what happens is the large to medium wood shavings are collected in the first one, and then the medium to small wood particles are saved or drop out in the second one, and then just fine dust collection in the bag, and then I just have a bag filter. Now this is an old grizzly, I think it was 2002, so this dust collector is over 20 years old. So as part of our upgrade today, we're going to be taking apart these and then taking off the bag and also the bag filter, and then we're just going to extract everything to the exterior of my workshop. I do have a 4-inch dust collection inlet that runs into the 2-stage cyclone system. I'm thinking about increasing that because the dust collector does come with a 6-inch inlet, and then maybe starting out with a 6-inch flexible inlet and then reducing it down to 4 inches might make it a little more efficient as well. And then as far as the outlet goes, you can see there the outlet I believe is 5 inches, and instead of running it to the bag, we're going to take that whole assembly off and drill a hole through the exterior of my metal building and basically send all the dust to the outside of the building, and I'll show you that next. This is the exterior of the workshop, and I'm going to be coming out of the wall right next to the window, and then I'm just going to install a 4-inch dryer vent. So I'm going to start here with the dust cyclones and just start taking apart all the flex hoses that connect the system to the trash cans. And once I get all these flex hoses off, I'll show you the contents inside the trash cans, and you can kind of get an idea of how it's separated out the different size particles inside the trash cans. That way only the fine dust made it to the actual bag. So I very rarely had to empty the bag. Most of the time I would just have to empty these 2 trash cans, which for the most part was fairly efficient. But why keep all the dust inside the workshop when you can extract everything to the exterior of the workshop? So I just want to give you a close-up on how efficient the system was. This was the first garbage can or first cyclone separator, and you can see the shavings in there are large to medium size. You can tell I recently planed some black walnut, and you can definitely see the plain shavings inside this can here. And then in the second can, you can see the medium to small shavings in the bottom of this can. So these have been emptied recently, so that's why they're not that full, but you can definitely see the different size particles that the 2-stage separators collect. And that way too, when it comes around to the dust collector here, the bag for the most part pretty much stays empty. You don't have to really change the bag at all. So this was a perfect setup, and it's a setup I used for 20-something years. But now I'm going to take and exhaust it, the outlet of the vacuum. I'm going to take this, the bag and the bag filter apart, and then exhaust this right through the bottom of the window. So here's a close-up of my vacuum inlet, and you can see there that there's a splitter. It's a 6-inch connection, and then it splits off to 4-inch connections. And I'm going to try to just totally take off the 4-inch and use the 6-inch, and then reduce it to 4 inches right here where it enters my dust collection system. So that's the plan. And then the 5-inch outlet here, we're going to reduce to 4 inches and then get it through the wall of the exterior of the workshop to discharge all the sawdust to the exterior of the workshop, and hopefully make the workshop a lot more healthier. So the next thing we're going to do is disassemble the bag filter and the bag. That way all we're left is just with the vacuum itself. So now with the blower disassembled from the base unit, I just have the blower sitting here on the floor. I just wanted to get an idea of the orientation of the blower with my main vacuum line. And what I've decided to do is just go ahead and leave the 6-inch by 4-inch Y that's on the inlet side of the blower, leave that in place. This came with the Grizzly blower, and then just took up a small 4-inch flex to my main vacuum line. I had thought about maybe hard piping it, but I wanted the ability to be able to disconnect it in the event I need to work on it. And I think it's just much easier if I just use a short flex hose. That way I can disconnect it and then work on the blower or the main line if I need to. So now that I'm satisfied with the way that the inlet is hooked up, I'm looking now at the outlet, and the outlet is this 5-inch flex duct, which also came with the dust collector. I want to try to keep the same flex orientation, the same long sweep that it had originally. And what I'm going to do is I've laid out on the wall here where my wall penetration is going to be. This flex is approximately 12 inches from the wall. So what I'm going to do is install just some rigid PVC out 12 inches and then connect to the flex. So that way I don't have to reorder a piece of 5-inch flex for the outfeed side of this blower. So here on my exterior metal siding, I'm making sure that I center the hole between 2 ribs. That way the 4-inch dryer vent hood will fit between the ridges and will sit flush up against the metal siding. Since the 4-inch dryer vent and the 4-inch PVC I'm using are the same size, I'm going to have to heat up the PVC pipe along the inside of the pipe and then along the exterior of the pipe. Then I can slide the 4-inch dryer vent onto the pipe and squeeze it out to make it just a hair larger. That way the dryer vent will fit securely into this rigid PVC pipe. Next, I'm going to modify the dryer vent. It's just made out of plastic, so I'm just going to take a scroll saw, and that outline that I made on the dryer hood, I'm going to take and cut that out. That way the damper that's on the inside of the dryer vent will open all the way. Right now it opens about maybe halfway with the hood in place. So by me cutting out a portion of the hood, it will allow the damper that's on the inside of the dryer vent to open up more, and we'll be able to extract out more dust. Next, I'm going to insert the rigid pipe through the wall and then caulk around the opening, and then also caulk the back of the dryer vent, and then insert the dryer vent into the pipe, and then fasten the dryer vent to the siding with self-tapping metal screws. And then I'm going to come back and use silicone caulk just to seal all the openings and everything, and then just test the damper to make sure it's working correctly. Okay, so now that we've got the exterior vent installed on the side of the workshop, and then I've got my 4-inch drainage PVC pipe sticking out approximately 12 inches, I'm now ready to connect the 5-inch flex hose on the outlet side of the blower to this pipe. And the connection that I'm using here is a coupling, and then I've got a rubber 4-inch by 4-inch connection that I picked up at the big box store, because the outside dimension of this rubber connection is 5 inches, and it matches the flex coming off the outfeed side of the blower. And then the coupling is stuck on the inside, and then the coupling will fit right over my PVC drainage sleeve. So the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to add some silicone around this, make this connection, and that should seal up the blower on both the outfeed side and on the infeed side. So the blower will pretty much be connected and ready to go. We're not going to do the final connections until we fasten the blower to the concrete slab. So once I get this connection done, we'll undo the connections here at the vacuum and then mark the locations on the concrete slab, and then I'll drill with my hammer drill some holes in the concrete slab for the wedge anchors. We'll get the wedge anchors installed, get the blower mounted to the slab, and then hook everything up. Once I'm done caulking this final joint, I'm going to use an angle bracket, and I'm going to use that to mount the remote control for my dust collection system. I think it's a Lone Ranger, and I have a couple remotes that live at my table saw and at my miter saw. So before I mounted the vacuum to the concrete floor with wedge anchors, I wanted to install some sort of vibration isolators underneath the vacuum. So I just took this old reducer boot, which is basically made out of rubber, and I'm just going to cut it so I can get 4 flat pieces to put underneath the 4 corners of the dust collector. And that will just serve as vibration isolators, and it should smoothen the dust collection system when it's on and make it less noisy. With the hole locations marked on my concrete slab, I just am using a concrete drill bit here. I believe I was using 3/8" diameter wedge anchors, and I'm using a hammer drill to drill out the 4 screw locations that are going to eventually bolt the dust collector to the concrete slab. So now that I have the vacuum mounted to the shop floor, I went ahead and connected the inlet and the outlet, so we're ready to test it out, see how well it's going to operate. A couple of takeaways. You can see the difference in the footprint that the old shop vac system was taking up with the shop bag and the filter right here in front of the window, and then the dual trash can cyclones, basically where the dust collector is now. You can see how much of a footprint that was taking up, and now look at all the additional space I have as a result of getting rid of the 2 trash can cyclones and then getting rid of the bag and the bag filter. This has freed up an enormous amount of space in the workshop. Now that really doesn't have anything to do with the efficiency of the dust collector, but that is a solid perk in this project. The other perk is now everything is ducted to the exterior of the workshop, so there shouldn't be any more dust, or it will definitely reduce the amount of dust generated here in the workshop. Something like the random orbital is something that's probably going to generate the most dust, but typically I hook that up to my shop vac, so that's not even hooked up to the dust collector system anyway. So we'll see how that works. And I still have my WIN air filtration system, and I'll leave a link here in the video if you want to check out the WIN air filtration system. So I'm still going to be operating that. That will primarily be operating when I'm doing a lot of sanding. Otherwise, there's really no need to operate it. Most of the shop equipment doesn't generate fine dust particles like random orbital sanding does. So, but as you can see, this is taking up a lot less footprint in the workshop than the existing dust collection system. And then also I've got it right here by my main ductwork for the dust collection system. So this is where I have my 4 vacuum runs, and I have 4 blast gates that operate those 4 individual vacuum runs. If you want to know more about the dust collection system that I have here in the workshop and how I've designed it and set it up, I'll leave a link here in the video to where you can go view my dust collection system video where I showed the actual installation of the vacuum lines. So now the next thing I want to do is fire it up. I'll probably use some soft lumber here at the planer, and we'll see how well it does as far as collecting the dust chips here at the planer. So my biggest takeaway from this project is just like any other project, like my shop renovation project or installing my DIY mini split, why I didn't do it sooner. By doing this upgrade to the dust collection system, I'm able to get all the dust outside the workshop, which makes for a healthier workshop. That's one. Number 2, the footprint. The footprint is reduced, which frees up more space in the workshop, which makes room for some extra tools. And then the third is the reduced static pressure makes the system a lot more efficient. Now mine is a Grizzly 2 horsepower single stage system. If you have a similar system, I highly recommend doing this type of upgrade to your dust collection system. Now if you're working out of your garage and you're in a residential community, then maybe this isn't the right upgrade for you. But if you live in a rural area or you live on a larger lot like an acre plus, then I highly recommend doing this type of project. Well, that's going to wrap up this video. I hope this video helps you out in your project. And if you like the video, then please leave it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel and you like DIY and woodworking projects, then I invite you to subscribe to the channel. It's free and painless. I'd also ask that you ring that bell icon, that way you'll be notified of all our upcoming videos. To all my existing subscribers, I really appreciate the support you've given this channel. I'm Rick with the Ingrain Workshop. We'll see you next time. Have a wonderful day and God bless.